Today we're diving into a really powerful way to think about all the changes happening in our lives. It's a concept called the inverse paranoid, and trust me, it's a fascinating way to reframe how you see the world. So let's just jump right in.
Ever have those moments where it feels like the ground is just constantly shifting beneath your feet? Yeah, you're not alone. It can feel completely overwhelming when everything seems to be in motion, but what if there was a way to find a huge opportunity in all of that chaos?
Okay, first things first, let's just acknowledge that change is a constant. It's always happening. Some people even believe our lives move in these big 7-year cycles of major shifts. But the real key to handling all this isn't just knowing that change is coming, it's about understanding the different kinds of change.
And this is where it gets really interesting. See, the goal isn't to fight change, but to learn how to tell the different types apart. So often, we just lump all changes together, from tiny little inconveniences to massive life events, and that, right there, is what creates so much of our stress.
This brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer, the critical difference between a transition and a transformation. And I mean it. Getting this distinction right can totally change how you approach pretty much every challenge life throws at you.
So what is the difference? Well, a transition is a smaller, more manageable change. Think of it like you're just adjusting your course a little bit. Moving across town is a perfect example. A transformation, on the other hand, whoa, that's a fundamental shift that completely redraws the map of your life, like moving to a whole new country.
Let's break it down with a few more examples, right? Getting a promotion, or even losing a job, that's a transition. Buying a new car? Also a transition. But starting your own business from scratch, or getting married? Those are transformations. They fundamentally change your entire daily life. Can you start to see how events in your own life might fit into these two boxes?
So why does this even matter? Why bother putting labels on things? Well, because it has a direct, massive impact on how you feel, on your emotional response, and your stress levels. It really is all about perspective.
And here's the trap so many of us fall into. We treat a transition with the same level of panic and anxiety as a full-blown transformation. We give a minor tweak the same emotional weight as a life-altering earthquake, and that just creates a huge amount of stress that we absolutely do not need.
This metaphor just perfectly captures what a transformation feels like. From the inside, it can feel messy and destructive, like your whole world is ending. But from a bigger perspective, you realize it's just the process of becoming something entirely new, something more.
So what if we started looking at those smaller changes in a new light? What if a transition, even one that feels really negative like losing a job, isn't a random setback at all? What if it's actually a necessary step? The universe clearing the path for a bigger, more meaningful transformation that's just around the corner.
It all really just boils down to that classic piece of advice we've all heard a million times. Don't sweat the small stuff. When you learn to see transitions as exactly that, the small stuff, those necessary little adjustments, you free up so much mental and emotional energy for the things that truly matter.
Okay, so how does all this come together? Well, it all builds up into this incredibly empowering way of thinking, which brings us to the main event, the inverse paranoid mindset.
We all know what a paranoid person is, right? Someone who thinks the world is out to get them. Well, an inverse paranoid is the total opposite. It's someone who operates from this deep, unwavering belief that the universe is actively conspiring in their favor, that it's constantly arranging things for their ultimate good.
And this right here is where this mindset becomes a superpower. Because if you see transitions as just setups and you truly believe the universe has your back, then suddenly you don't even have to sweat the big stuff anymore. Even those huge, scary transformations can be met with trust instead of fear, because you have faith they're leading you somewhere even better.
So, how do we actually put this into practice? How do we use this? Well, this whole framework connects directly to ideas like the law of attraction, suggesting we can actually co-create our path forward.
The basic idea here is that the universe responds to your focus. It doesn't really judge your thoughts as good or bad. It just brings you more of whatever you're concentrating on. So if you focus on opportunity, you're going to find more of it, whether it's in a tiny transition or a major transformation.
So this all gives us a simple 3-step game plan. First, when a change happens, take a breath and categorize it. Is this a transition or a transformation? Second, get super crystal clear on the outcome you actually want. And third, and this is the hardest part for most of us, you have to let go of the how. Just trust that the universe will handle the details and orchestrate the steps to get you there.
At the end of the day, the biggest takeaway here is that change is not your enemy.
Whether it's small and preparatory or huge and life-altering, every single shift can be seen as a necessary and beneficial part of your journey. They aren't happening to you, they are happening for you.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Take a look at the biggest challenge, the biggest worry in your life right now. Using this new framework, what if it's not a setback at all? What if it's actually the universe perfectly setting you up for your next great transformation?